Okay, today we're going to do a virtual lab for Ohm's law using spreadsheets and the PhET simulator from the University of Colorado. So what we have here is we have a very simple circuit set up with a battery source that produces the voltage, a resistor that impedes the current, and then a measurement of that current based on the voltage and resistance values. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is set the resistance for the resistor and record it here. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to go ahead and set this to, we could pick really any random number just for convenience. I'm just going to use the number 250. And next up, what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the voltage to various number increments, and then we're going to record the current. So the first one I'm going to start with 0.2, and I'm going to go by increments of 0.2. So let's go ahead and put that here, 0.2. That means we're going to then do 0.4. 0.6, and so on. And what's really nice is that spreadsheets are very good at picking up patterns. So there we go. We can see it increments by 0.2 all the way up to 4 volts. So let's go ahead and put in 250 here before we forget. Next, we're going to want to measure the current. So for the first one, we saw we got 0.8. And then we're going to go ahead and adjust this up to our next voltage value, 0.4. And we see that we get 1.6. Then we'll increment this up to 0.6 and we get 2.4. And we'll keep doing that all the way until we have all of our values. So now that we have all of our measurements for voltage and current, we are ready to move on to the next step. But before we do that, we're going to want to go ahead and make all of our numbers consistent to the same number of decimal places. So we can use these values up here and adjust it so they all go to the tenths place or to 1 decimals place, and now our numbers look nice and consistent. So now we are ready to move on to the next step, which is to create our graph. So let's go ahead and select our data, say insert chart. It's going to generate a chart here. Just to make it a little easier to work with, let's move it to its own sheet. Let's go ahead and rename that 3 graph. It's nice that it already picked up that what we want is a scatter plot. If it does not give you a scatter chart, you're going to want to go in here and change that. So let's go ahead and see. We've got our axes, our current versus voltage with the units. That's exactly what we want. We might want to change the name though. So since this is Ohm's law, or at least that's what we're trying to demonstrate, go ahead and change it there. Maybe make this a little darker. Make it a little bigger, centered, and bold. So the next thing we want to do is we want to find out the relationship between all of these points. As voltage increases, by how much does the current increase? What's really nice about spreadsheets is it actually gives us the opportunity to insert it here. So from the Customize option, select Series, scroll down to Trend Line, and it automatically puts a line in there. And for this particular example, it's a perfect fit. If you're using the virtual lab, unfortunately it will always be a perfect fit. If you're doing a real physics lab where you're working with an actual resistor and voltage source, you can expect a little bit more variance, which would be ideal, but of course not everyone has a voltage source and resistors handy in their classrooms. So the next thing we want to do, we got the trend line. We want to have our label include the equation, which now shows up right there. And we can say show the r squared value, which, as you can expect looking at this line, is perfectly equal to 1. Again, if you are doing an actual real physics lab with a resistor and a voltage source, you'll actually find that it'll get very close to 1, but it will not be 1. It'll probably be like 0.99 and then some trailing numbers. So at this point, everything looks good. We've got our graph, we've got our data. We are now ready to remove our instructions, and there we go. Go ahead and share it out. Just go into, by clicking share, you'll notice that Google has actually recently changed their share settings, but it's still pretty easy. Just go down here, change to anyone with a link, copy link, make sure that they're able to view. If you want them to be able to comment or edit, you can do that. We're not going to do that here. And post it to your social media or to your classroom, wherever you want it, and that's it. Thank you for watching.